And medical devices are not quick and simple to develop. There's technology to deal with. There's a lot of regulatory hurdles that you have to work through. And typically our customers are medical device companies as well, so they understand those. But it is important that very early on we understand what are the orders of magnitude of budgets, of unit costs, of development styles, and make sure that there's a good fit between our services and products and what the client is looking for.
So you mentioned process there. What is the process that you take your customers through when you're creating a design? What's their role?
Yeah, so we have, and I'll start at the beginning very briefly. Before we actually have a project, we're working with prospective clients, and we're going through what we call a discovery phase to understand what they want. And out of that discovery phase, we're generally able to put together a proposal. And this proposal is going to be different in every application because what we do really is custom work. But in all cases, this drives a phase gate design control process where we go through multiple phases of increasing control and complexity that start from basically a paper exercise and end with transfer to manufacturing of a product. It's a pretty common process for medical devices, and it's a well-exercised system, but it's something that we have in place to make sure that we're doing things in the proper order, at the proper time, maintaining the proper documentation, but also giving our client the value that they need.
Sure, and obviously value is part of one of the biggest parts of the equation, and it's also got to be one of the scariest, right? Because you're talking about cost. Because when you hear custom, when you hear creating something new, that is, in my mind, that just means dollar signs, right? So how do you help show them the value in creating a custom solution versus trying to, edit or adjust something that's off the shelf?
Yeah, it's a great question. And typically this will go through the process of understanding what it is that they want and giving them options. And those options are generally going to have cost, performance, timeline, and maybe perhaps other commercial considerations that we're always going to have to consider compromises. We kind of talk about a Lamborghini versus a Toyota. If your objective is to have a vehicle, then a Toyota is just fine. If your objective is to go fast and look flashy, then you're going to want the Lamborghini. But obviously there's a pretty significant price tag difference between the two of those. So really we want to make sure, I'll come back to that word value, we want to make sure that our customers are getting the value that they want where they see the value. If they want a Toyota, we want to help them create a Toyota. If they want a Lamborghini, then we're going to work on creating a Lamborghini.
Mm-hmm. And what, you guys are set up, or Lighthouse is set up, well to handle both. Let's go back to those things that are considered. You had said cost, performance, timeline to market. Something else we mentioned offline was IP protection and creating a differentiation. Are those value plays, for you to share with clients?
Yeah, certainly. It does depend on the market and the specific product, but oftentimes when we're working with a client who is looking for something specific, it's because they're developing either a new product or there's a new procedure that they're trying to advocate. And if it's successful, certainly other companies, other countries are going to look to try and replicate that. And by having something that's not available off the shelf and that has been developed and manufactured by a company like Lighthouse with very strong IP protection, that gives them a leg up in making sure that their process, their product, or their procedure is not being copied.
Well, is it common to modify stuff that you have off the shelf or options that are off the shelf, or is the preference to create something new every time?
Yeah, so our systems are generally all built around building blocks, and the question is, how small or big are those building blocks that you put together? We're not designing our own image sensors. We're using off-the-shelf image sensors, but we are creating the custom electronics that hold that sensor, get the data from point A to point B, and then process that video. And each of those steps have various levels of how deep we can go in terms of refining them. One good